In this video, we're going to go through Malaysia Airlines' long-haul offering and talk about what flying Malaysia Airlines is like in 2023. So join me on our flight from Melbourne through to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia's capital city, and let's see whether MH really stands for Malaysian hospitality. Okay, so before we get started, there's a couple of things I need to preface before we get onto the trip report. For the longest time, I've been apprehensive to fly Malaysia Airlines. The airline has had a turbulent past, primarily involving two high-profile incidents in 2014. First, Malaysia Airlines MH370 disappeared en route to Beijing in March. Then a few months later, MH17 was shot down when flying from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur. Now, in the years that followed, Malaysia Airlines got stripped of its 5-star rating on Skytrax and then was subsequently awarded a 4-star rating a few years later. Then a quick glance at TripAdvisor made my heart sink because of all the negative reviews that MH had. I mean, just look at all of this. But then it kind of struck me that perhaps as an airline reviewer, I owe it to the industry to give the airlines a fair chance and report my findings, so I went ahead and booked a Malaysia Airlines flight to see what flying MH is like in 2023, and here we go. A very good afternoon to you everyone and welcome to Melbourne Tullamarine International Departure Terminal. Now, Malaysia Airlines flies out of this particular terminal with check-in located at Concourse F. As an economy flex passenger, we get priority boarding and priority check-in, which I was thoroughly impressed by. But just a word of advice, they're pretty strict with the whole 7 kilos carry-on thing, so make sure you're weighing your bags instead of rolling the dice like me, or else you're going to be reshuffling things much like I did. Melbourne Airport itself, plane spot is paradise. As a Tassie boy, all I'm used to seeing are narrow-body jets belonging to Australian carriers, so put me inside the Melbourne Airport departure hall and I'll stay there for hours. Mike Tango Mike is taking us through to Kuala Lumpur today. Now, this plane actually arrived earlier this morning from an overnight flight from Kuala Lumpur, then it sat at a bay until the afternoon to return to Malaysia. It was delivered back in 2013 and it sits 290 passengers, but it's got one of the more interesting layouts with 27 seats in business class, 16 for economy plus, and then 247 for just general economy. Now, Malaysia Airlines tends to deploy their A330s on medium to long haul routes. In addition to Melbourne, you can also see these jets in Sydney, Perth, Adelaide, New Delhi, and Doha. This is the first of 2 daily flights that Malaysia Airlines has between the two ports. Alright, now I nearly died of embarrassment because during the boarding process, the agent said, "Have a great flight," and being the absolute Chad that I am, I said, "Thanks, you too."
Hello. Hi, good afternoon. Thank you.
Now, my initial impressions of the cabin, I don't know, it just felt dated, like nothing particularly stuck out to me, but you could tell the plane was somewhat past its prime. Now, 21A is a standard window seat, and this is what we've been assigned to for the flight. It's got okay legroom, this view, an adjustable headrest, and your tray table is retractable, and it comes out from the seat in front of you.
First officer with me today at the flight deck, Mr. Aini, and the rest of the cabin crew with you back in the cabin. That's our in-flight supervisor, Marianne. On behalf of Malaysia Airlines, I welcome you on board this flight, MH148 Melbourne to Kuala Lumpur. Keeping you updated with our status. Presently, the boarding process is still ongoing, and our baggage handlers are loading your bags into the cargo compartments. As soon as all are on board and the loading is completed, we will be closing all our cabin and cargo doors, requesting the air traffic clearance for our departure out of Melbourne International. flight time today to Kuala Lumpur will take us 7 hours and 55 minutes. We should be cruising at the initial height of 36,000 feet en route. Once we get safely airborne and on cruise, from time to time, my first officer, Mr. Ivy, will get back to you with the latest information pertaining the flight. And also as a safety reminder, we are expecting bumpiness along the climb as well as the initial part of the flight. I highly recommend you keep your seatbelts fastened whenever you are seated for your safety. Thank you for your attention. Speak to you again later. Goodbye.
Dan pengguna rokok elektronik dilarang sama sekali. Mengecas alat tersebut juga tidak dibenarkan dan janganlah
Now, they give you these pretty cheap headphones to use for the flight, and the in-flight entertainment itself is not particularly the fastest, most up-to-date, revolutionary IFE in the world, and it definitely lags. But there's enough content to keep you going for 8 hours. As soon as we took off, they came around and gave us some peanuts and a choice of either juice or water. The peanuts are Malaysia Airlines' signature snack and taste quite yummy. And then they came around doing an exclusive run with beer alone, and let's just say Malaysia Airlines seems to know their market demographic quite well. For lunch today, we've got a coleslaw salad as a starter, a choice between chicken curry or beef stroganoff for mains, and some dessert that I don't really remember the name of, but it was yummy nonetheless. Overall thoughts on the meal? Perfection. Malaysia Airlines is definitely doing their best to circumvent this catering crisis that they're currently dealing with. Welcome aboard the Lavatory for MH148. As you can see, we've got a fairly clean bathroom, we've got hand soap, a functional sink, and actually the thing that I like the most about the bathroom is there's heaps of space. And I haven't actually seen this on other flights before. And we've got a coat hook up there, and an ashtray just right there, and another coat hook. So all in all, this is a very functional bathroom, and I'm very, very satisfied. Okay, so I got hungry again after the meal service, so I asked the stewardess if she could find something for me to snack on. She brought me these delightful little lemon biscuits and some more of those peanuts that I love. And overall, the service in general was very polite and unrushed, and always done with a smile. The staff are very happy to help in any way possible, and did at least 20 drink runs. So we're about halfway through the flight right now, and I must say that I'm actually really, really impressed. We had a fantastic lunch. There was chicken curry on rice and beef stroganoff, so I went for the chicken curry on rice, and it was so good. And
The crew have been coming around consistently every 15 minutes with drinks and water and all kinds of things, really keeping the passengers hydrated really well. So far, I must say I'm really satisfied. We had a fantastic dessert. I can't remember what it was, but it was really tasty. And so far this flight's going very well. And let's hope the remainder of this flight is good as well. Let's revert to you when the next service commences.
So about 2 hours before we touched down, the crew came back once again to offer us either cheese and leek sandwiches or tandoori chicken sandwich. My god, the catering was so good, I simply loved how well cooked everything was. I have never come across a set of cabin crew who have gone out of their way to be attentive as much as the folks today. The guys in front of me wanted a veg meal but didn't place their order online, so the flight attendant came to reassure both of them that they could secure a veg meal not just on this flight but if they had any connecting flights as well. And I was just so taken back and impressed with how caring they were. Now, since we're landing shortly, let's talk about Malaysia Airlines. When you book an economy flex fare, you get to board early as well as have a dedicated check-in line. You can choose any standard seat for free of charge, and I was quite impressed that they enforced all of this. The staff today have been the kindest and most attentive group I've ever come across, going the extra mile wherever possible. I actually wrote to Malaysia Airlines and told them how good their staff were because I believe it's important for the crew to be appreciated. Now, the aircraft definitely is not the most modern in the fleet, and the in-flight entertainment being borderline irritating to use with the cheap headphones that they give you definitely tarnishes an otherwise amazing flight. But overall, I'm giving Malaysia Airlines an 8 out of 10. Now, depending on when you book, the price between Melbourne and Kuala Lumpur on Malaysia Airlines can come to about 279 Australian dollars. Before I head off, remember to subscribe, follow me on TikTok and Instagram, and comment on this video. Thanks for watching, that's all from me tonight. I'll see you in another trip report. Have a pleasant day, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.